The Zurai Dominion prided themselves on their efficiency and conquest. For centuries, their fleets swept across the outer arms of the galaxy, burning away what they deemed unfit civilizations. To them, lesser species were insects, to be crushed, studied, or enslaved. And when the humans of Earth began to spread beyond their small homeworld, building colonies in the cold dark, the Zurai watched with disdain. Humanity was strange, too soft in speech, too patient in diplomacy, too willing to send envoys rather than armadas. They spoke of cooperation, trade, and peace. They let insults pass, let slights wash over them, let threats hang unanswered. The Zurai interpreted patience as weakness, kindness as fragility. So when the colony of Leora III resisted the Dominion's demand for tribute, the Zurai decided to make an example. A single cruiser descended from orbit, its weapons spitting fire into the defenseless settlement. Homes crumbled, fields burned, civilians scattered like ants beneath boots of steel. The Zurai commander, amused, ordered ground troops to descend, not to conquer, but to humiliate. It was then that they found her. A human child, perhaps 7 or 8 years of age, clutching a crude wooden toy shaped like a starship. She stood defiant, trembling but unbroken, before soldiers 3 meters tall clad in armored scales. She spat at them. She dared to speak words they could not comprehend but understood nonetheless. "You will not take my home." The Zurai laughed. One soldier raised his weapon and struck her down. The act was recorded, transmitted and broadcast by the Dominion as proof of their supremacy. They thought the galaxy would see humanity's weakness laid bare. Instead, it lit a fuse older than empires. The silence. Before the storm at first, the galaxy heard nothing. No declarations of war, no fleets launched in haste, no vengeful speeches echoing across the stars. Humanity remained silent. The Zurai interpreted this silence as confirmation of victory. They laughed in their halls of power. They mocked the human penchant for endless councils and deliberations. They boasted that Earth's people, so patient and talkative, so invested in words rather than war, had folded under a single strike. Other species watched carefully. Many pitied humanity, but they also believed the Zurai's assessment. The humans, they said, speak loudly of values but have no teeth to bite. They endure humiliation with their heads bowed. Their patience has no edge. The Zurai fed this belief with more arrogance. In broadcasts, they replayed the execution of the child with triumphant commentary. "This is what patience earns you," they sneered. "This is the fate of those who resist us." But in the silence, something was moving. Not a response born of rage. Not the chaos of uncontrolled revenge. What stirred within Earth and her colonies was colder, sharper. A patience broken is no longer patience. It becomes precision. For centuries, humanity had endured slights. For centuries, they had studied every empire, every strategy, every weapon. They had spoken softly while their shipyards worked in shadows, while their strategists drafted war not for petty skirmishes, but for survival itself. The galaxy mistook silence for weakness. Humanity knew silence was preparation, the breaking of patience. The first sign came not with words, but with shadows. Along the Zurai border, patrols vanished. Outposts went dark. Merchant vessels reported shapes in the void, vast and silent, their profiles unfamiliar. Then came the message. It was not a speech. It was not broadcast with fury. It was not adorned with threats. It was a single statement, translated into the Zurai tongue, delivered with the clarity of a blade drawn across stone. "You struck down one child. You have struck down us all. We are coming." Panic spread through the Dominion. For the first time in living memory, Zurai commanders felt unease. Their enemies had always begged for mercy, had always pleaded before the lash. But the humans offered no pleas, no negotiation, no demand, only inevitability. The galaxy listened. 1,000 species leaned forward in dread. The silence of humanity was gone, replaced by the sound of fleets awakening. From Earth's hidden shipyards came vessels the galaxy had never seen. Not fragile trading ships, not outdated warcraft scavenged from forgotten battles. These were machines built in secrecy, in patience, in expectation of the day silence would shatter. Dreadnoughts whose hulls blotted out starlight. Carriers whose fighter swarms moved like living storms. Armored troops bred not for conquest but retribution, their resolve harder than steel. The Zurai had struck down one child. Earth was now a weapon aimed at their throat. Fire that consumed suns. The retaliation began at Chorus, the Dominion's proud shipyard world. Zurai fleets stood ready, confident in numbers. But when the humans arrived, the stars themselves seemed to vanish. The sky filled with black steel and burning engines. Their war drums were silence, the silence of void disrupted only by the sudden surgical violence of annihilation. Human dreadnoughts fired once, and entire cruisers disintegrated into molten wreckage. Swarms of strikecraft poured from carriers, weaving through Zurai formations with impossible precision. Where Zurai guns blazed, humans endured. Where Zurai ships advanced, humans cut them apart. The battle did not last hours. It lasted minutes. Chorus burned. Word spread faster than the flames. Human fleets advanced like a tide, system after system falling not in conquest, but in obliteration. No civilians were slaughtered, no innocents touched. The fury of Earth was precise, directed at soldiers, at fleets, at the instruments of arrogance. The Zurai howled in disbelief. They had believed themselves the apex of war. Yet every strategy, every weapon, every fleet they hurled at humanity was dismantled. It was not mere vengeance, it was judgment. One Zurai admiral, desperate, transmitted a plea across open channels. "You fight as though your very blood is fire. Why? Why do you come for us with such fury?" The answer was broadcast from a human. Flagship, calm and steady, spoken like scripture. "Because you killed one child. That is all it ever takes." And then the human fleet advanced, blotting out his signal forever. The shattered Dominion world after world fell. The Zurai screamed of extermination, but the truth was colder. Humanity was not interested in their extinction. Humanity wanted something worse. The Dominion's fleets were eradicated, their arsenals reduced to ash, their banners torn down, their leaders executed in silence, their names erased, their symbols banned. What remained of their civilization was not destroyed. It was left to live with the knowledge that one act of arrogance had ended their empire. Other species watched in awe and terror. They saw Earth's fleets move with impossible coordination, guided by patience forged over centuries. They saw worlds burned not in cruelty, but in wrathful justice. And they understood. Humanity had endured mockery. Humanity had endured exploitation. Humanity had endured humiliation. But humanity would never endure the striking down of its children. The galaxy trembled as the last Zurai fortress fell. The once proud Dominion became nothing more than whispers, shadows, ruins where children of humanity now played freely. The silence. After the storm, and then, as suddenly as it had begun, the war ended. Humanity did not claim new territory. They did not demand tribute. They did not drape their banners across conquered skies. They returned to silence. The survivors of the Zurai whispered in their broken halls, terrified of a silence they now understood. Other species avoided human borders, fearful not of their diplomacy, but of what lay beneath it. For the galaxy had learned the truth. Earth's patience is vast, greater than empires, greater than suns. It endures insults, threats, even bloodshed. But patience is not infinite, and when it breaks, when one child is struck down, there is no force in the stars that can stand against what follows. Whispers spread in every tongue. Never provoke Earth again. Never strike what they hold dear. For their vengeance is infinite, and their silence is the last warning you will ever hear. And so the galaxy remained quiet, but forever afraid.